Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to Samantha Erlenbaugh, who is an amazing business owner and a heartfelt woman, a heartfelt entrepreneur who has created some amazing things and has recently popped over the $1 million mark. So I love celebrating the women and the dames who've passed that mark because it is our mission. It is our top role and goal in our existence, is to get more women to that 7-figure mark so that they can do the things that Sam is currently doing. They can provide amazing career opportunities. They can create dynamic company cultures, and they can really achieve their epic missions with much more ease because they have the resources to do so. So Sam, let's get started by telling everyone who's watching now and at the replay, please comment with #replay if you're here watching the replay, or if you have questions that pop up for Sam as we're going along, I will field those. But Sam, let's start with telling everyone the story of, when did you start your business and where are you? What have you grown to this point?
Yes, absolutely. So I am a licensed psychotherapist. And so I started my therapy practice, The Centered Life, 6 years ago. And that was kind of built on this mission of really wanting to break the old healthcare system, really wanting to destigmatize mental health, really have a space where people could feel normalized and supported and really stop hiding behind the stigma of it. And so, as that grew the first couple of years, I really then started to find this need of wanting to make more of an impact. My specialty is anxiety. I'm an anxiety expert, and I love therapy, but I really wanted to find a way to reach more people. That's just my heart. That's my mission. And so I created my coaching business, Dare to End Anxiety, where I do speaking and I do company coaching to really reach more people, to help them build that mental health resilience, to really overcome anxiety, put an end to it, really creating that messaging that it is possible, because I see it every day. I'm someone who have done it, and just really having both of those businesses come right from my heart and wanting to help people.
Sorry about that. I was muted. You are located in the suburbs of Chicago, but you work with, so the Centered Life, your therapy business is located in Naperville. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a Naperville and Oak Park location. So we have 2 locations here in the Chicago suburbs, and then everything for Dare to End Anxiety is like virtual. So the reach is more about that.
Right. So you have clients all around basically the world with that business. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit of brass tacks. Like, what does the Centered Life look like? How many employees do you have? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we recently have hit the 20 person mark for our staff. We hit 7 figures earlier this year. I actually hit a lifetime goal of wanting to own a commercial property for this business. So I'm currently sitting in that business, or in that space. It is a 3,000 square foot commercial property that fits all of our staff and has room to grow to what we want it to be to serve our community. So that's where we're at right now.
That is a huge thing to celebrate. First of all, that has been a goal of yours. It's been something that you've been dreaming about and you made it come into life. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But then let's also hear about Dare to End Anxiety. So on that side of the business, it's a very different business model. So let's talk about that business model, what your offerings are over there, and then what your staff looks like there.
Yeah, so for Dare to End Anxiety, it's myself and more admin staff. And that is more of, high ticket offers, more of that like one to company. And it's just kind of me, implementing those workshops and those programs. And that actually has recently hit 200,000 for annual revenue. So that's also a growing business, and more of just like my passion and wanting to have that big impact and using that platform that way.
Yes, beautiful. And I think this is happening more commonly where therapists or those who run therapy businesses are also starting coaching businesses, which I think is very cool. Yeah, but we don't have to get into that. Anyways, that's another topic for another day. I think it's really cool. So you're part of the Dames. Not only are you part of the Dames, but you're also the Chicago chapter president. So if you're someone watching this and you're curious about that, please come check out thedames.co and check out the Chicago events that we have coming up, because Sam pulls together such a phenomenal group of women, and she has such a huge heart and really has this passion for helping women come together and support each other as we grow our businesses, because Sam has seen what that has done for her. So how specifically, what are some things that you've experienced within the Dames, being a Dames member, that have helped you to get to this 7-figure mark, or that have helped you grow your business? What are those specific things?
Absolutely. When I joined the Dames 2 years ago, my business was kind of averaging 400,000, and I could not see the next growth. Like right naturally it was at 500,000. It was like burnout and overwhelm. And I was like, there's no way, like, I don't know how people do this. So when I joined the Dames, to be honest, the first couple of months, I kind of hid behind it. I was very, I think as women, we don't want to step into our voice or into our ask or into like really saying what we want. And so the Dame specifically, like that first year, what it really helped me do is to come out of my shell and to really get clear on what I needed, really feel vulnerable and authentic to say what my challenges were, right? I had all kinds of challenges in my business. I couldn't move forward. I didn't see it. And so then I started attending the masterminds and, the B2Bs, the B2Cs, like really getting intentional with my one-on-ones. And I started saying like, this is where I'm stuck. This is where I'm stressed. I need help. I need support. And it really was the ideas, the solutions, the Dames getting on one-on-ones that are like, hey, that was me. Here's a resource. Here's an introduction. And within the first year, 500,000 came effortlessly. Then 800 came. And it really was that those spaces, those masterminds, the women pouring into me, but it really started with me asking for what I needed and being willing to step out in the open to say, this is my challenge. This is my struggle. I had spent years looking for a community like this. And so when I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a diamond in the rough. And so I was like, I have to lean in and ask for what I need. And so I credit everything, this building, 7 figures, it was the Dames. It was Dames helping me get clear on my ask to step into that, right? I used to feel guilty to ask for introductions or, this is who I really want to know. This is really the amount of a program I want to give and how many people I want to help. But I had Dames challenge that, like, Sam, no, what's your ask? Stop pouring into people. Stop helping everyone. Like, we get it. That's who we all are. But it's time for you to let us pour into you. And that is the exact reason that I'm where I'm at. Without the Dames, I would have been stuck and overwhelmed and just maintained.
Well, let me just reflect what you just said back to you as well, because you said that we helped you with a lot of things, but that is also because of the other thing you said, which is you have poured into this community endlessly. You have continuously shown up and asked, how can I support you? What can I do for you? And I think that right there, I'd like to dive in deeper into that. How can I support you? Right? If we have that question, as we should, as a community member at the ready, and someone answers, oh gosh, I don't know, just maybe like my stuff on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, or, if you see one of my clients walking around looking lost, bring them to me. That's minimally effective, right? Because that's asking a lot, first of all, that other person, that they're out there looking for your clients on the street somewhere. So one of the things that you got really clear on was who it is that you needed connections to. So I want everyone to hear the level of specificity that you got to with, and I think it was Dare to End Anxiety, if I'm correct, but like, let's talk about the level of specificity. So I'm going to try it, right? How can I support you, Sam?
Well, when I joined the Dames, I would say, if you know anyone who needs therapy in Illinois, I'm here. So let's start where I started. And now it is, if you know of anyone who's an HR director of a tech startup that has 500 plus employees, I would love an introduction if they're looking to help their employees prioritize their mental health.
Bingo. So you get into that super specific zone, and I'm sure that you have done this where you're like, okay, I'm going to actually look on LinkedIn and see if I can find some of those companies and then share those links with your fellow Dames, like who knows a connection to this company or that company, which means the more that we help our power partners, the more that we help our community, the more that they can help us. If we sit back and we ask you to do all the work, you meaning everyone else, we're not going to get what we're looking for. When you got that specific, is that when things started happening for you?
Yeah, I got that. And I started like researching on LinkedIn, and then I saw what Dames were connected to people I wanted to know. And I had this original thought of like, can I ask them that? And I was like, yes, this is what they want. And so I reached out to those Dames And they're like, absolutely. And then I think you did a video on like getting even more clear on like having something tangible. So like I'm creating that now, and I've already started to book speaking because of getting even clear of what like the workshop is that I want the introduction for and what the takeaways are, and just all of that clarity. It's so easy to grow, and it's so easy to see the impact you want to have, and it's clear, and people are saying yes, and I'm booked through speaking, and it makes it easy for our power partners to help too. Like it's such a different space to be in. And it took work and it took clarity, but yeah, there's nothing I don't think the Dames can help me grow to.
And it took time, right?
Yeah.
You weren't just like, I came in, it's been 3 months. Where's my gold watch? Where is my silver platter with 75 leads on it or whatever? You did the work. You came in, you started hearing, you listened, you said, okay, more clarity. Okay, more clarity. You continued to do the work. And then as you built up that confidence and you built up that, okay, I need to practice this, I'm going to ask. And you continue to ask, that's when other people can show up for you more, because they're like, yes, of course I want to show up for you. Look at how much you've been showing up for me. And that's such a beautiful thing. So thank you for staying committed and realizing that building relationships in community and getting what it is that you're looking for takes time.
Absolutely. And I think I could look at the past 2 years of all the growth I've had here. It's like each chunk was a different growth milestone for me. It was asking for the support in my business, then it was asking for the introduction. Like I had to go through that journey emotionally. And I think, yeah, I can look at financially all the growth I've had, but internally to feel like peace and excitement and clarity on what's going to bring me energy in my businesses now, like that also came in the steps. And that, yeah, that wouldn't have come in 6 months. It wouldn't have come in a year. That would be impossible. So it was really, I can look back now in the 2 years and see the whole picture and be clear what's next. But
Right.
it was
Which is that,
me.
oh, sorry.
It was like within me to like be really clear on what the next thing I needed and wanted, and be willing to step in that truth and say it.
And do that personal growth work, like you said. I mean, you know that part of that whole catching up thing is making sure that you're personally on board with where it is that you're headed. So there, I'm sure that everything has been, smooth sailing the whole time as you've grown your business and as you've gone past the $1 million mark. And it's just been, like I like to say, unicorn farts and rainbows. But really, what have been some of those struggles in business of late, and how have you gotten past those?
As of late, like as I've grown, right, we talk about delegation, and it was this like logical concept to me. And I did a lot of reactive delegation, even as probably a year ago, where I would just like, this is the need, this is where we're at, who can we find, who's saying yes, like, right, there's like a huge shortage of mental health therapists. I could not find the right like marketing, HR, CFOs. Like there was so much disconnect happening. Like I was on board to delegate, but I couldn't find, or I had no strategy or intention of how do I even go about finding the right people that are in alignment? Because I would find someone and then it wouldn't work. And then I'd be like, I just want to give up. Like, this is so hard. And so as of late, it's been getting really clear on, okay, if this is something I'm going to delegate in the business or bring a leader on, what is the plan and the strategy and the intention of the fit that they need to be in alignment with where the business is and where it's going, its values, its mission. And so there are very many dames that were really clear and gave me resources like, look at this, use this, you want to do this. Hopped on calls when I was crying, like I can't find anybody, no one exists to do this. Like I was just so discouraged in moments, but then to get a name, to get an introduction, to get a resource, and have someone with you, like that was me 6 months ago, Sam. I was crying and wanting to give up. Don't, this is what you can do. So that's been a big challenge as of late. And actually I've hired a couple dames to support the business, and those things are underway, and they're the right fit. They're the best fit. And so that challenge has definitely just recently been overcome in the past couple of weeks.
It's so good. I love it. It just makes me feel like it brings me so much joy to see the level of self-awareness that you have, and that self-awareness leads to, okay, there's something that that gets to shift, and I'm going to choose to shift that. And then what happens there is you step into more vulnerability, and you step into, if I just act like everything is hunky-dory, the things will continue the way that they are. But if I can really get real with myself and say, here's where things aren't working, I need help. And, that kind of brings us to the masterminds that we have as part of the membership. You were part of the 500K circle, and now you're part of the 7-figure circle. Whoop, whoop. Can't celebrate that enough. Thank you for not thank you, but thank you, universe, for bringing that to you to grow your business and to give you that.
It's even crazy to hear you say it. I'm like, yes, this happened, because I never thought it would. And here I am. So it's
You are
weird.
now part of the top 2% of women-owned businesses, Sam. This is huge. It is so huge. And I hope that you really, I think that's something that we struggle with as women, is to celebrate our successes enough. And we will have you on stage at the Fun Friends celebrating the fact that you crossed over that 7-figure mark, so that you have more moments to celebrate this, because it is not celebrated enough. That's why we exist, right?
Yes.
Anyways, the question I was going to ask was,
got emotional on that. The Dames has given me that space to celebrate myself and to do this. And where I'm at today, I never thought was possible. So thank you, Megan.
Yes. Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so grateful.
Thank you for sticking with it and for continuing to go, because now the world has more hope because of you, to be honest. Like what you've done with Dare to End Anxiety, and how you're helping career professionals and those who are leading the top companies to really deal with one of the hardest things that so many Americans deal with. And that's just all I know about America. But then on the side of the mental health problems that we've had in this country, especially as a result of the pandemic, and how your company has been there the whole time providing solutions. And you have been dedicated to getting past all of those barriers that have come up. You've never once let it shut you down. You've gotten back up every time and said, nope, how do I do this? And that is something to be celebrated. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
Man. So when you come to these 500K circles and these 7-figure circles, and I remember the day when you were talking about buying this commercial building, and like the ceiling you had hit at that point, and you were like, I need help. And you got clear on what it was that you needed help with, which I'm not even remembering what exactly it was, but like, what can you tell others about giving yourself that space and getting intentional and getting clear on what it is that's blocking you, and then also being willing to sit there and openly receive others' suggestions that caused you to be able to make a new choice and create a different reality, right? And that's what it's been happening on the 7-figure circles too. But what is it that you feel others should know about, there's that should word, about getting that clarity and then being open to receive?
Yeah, I think it's, again, a lot of times we want to show up and be the helper or the fixer or the solution oriented person. And you have to just start to be honest within to say, I need help. Like, I am struggling. I'm hitting a wall. There's a limit I have because I'm only an expert in certain ways. And to show up to those and say, look at all of these women on here. They're brilliant. They have different expertises. They have different insights and experience. So being willing, I remember you would ask, like, put your squeaky wheel in the chat. And the first couple, I said nothing. And then I was like, you be the one to share today. So I showed up stressed and anxious. I remember my voice was shaking. I was like, I need help. I'm overwhelmed. I'm struggling. And I just found the courage to say that. And then instead of being willing to try to explain all the things I tried or make it look like, oh, but I did this, I didn't need to explain that to anyone. I just then got to sit and say, this is what I need help with. And I don't even know what else I need help with. And it was just like an outpour of ideas and solutions and support. And people were like, hey, schedule a one-on-one with me. And I did follow-up meetings. And I just sat quietly in that anxiety and that overwhelm and was willing to own it and then sit quietly to receive. But I had to coach myself through that, because it's easy to want to not say it or to explain why you're struggling. You don't have to over explain here. Just say, I need help and this is what I need help with, and then listen.
So what I'm hearing you say is that everyone was super supportive. No one shamed you for not knowing the answers, which is one of our worst fears, correct? Like, we tell ourselves that if I out myself and tell all these other high-powered women that I don't know the answers, I'm going to somehow burn in flames.
Oh yeah, I definitely have this idea of they're going to be like, Sam, are you really supposed to be here? Like, don't you know these? Like, that was like, I could hear it in my mind of like, stay quiet, Sam. But then I finally got the courage because I didn't want to stay stuck anymore.
Yeah. And you realized that that wasn't the reality. Like it never was going to be, but you were so afraid because that's what we do. We tell ourselves these stories and we create these whole big things in our heads of like, they're all going to laugh at me. And no, they're
Or
all
even
going
the
to support me.
validation of women being like, I was you 6 months ago. I was you last week. Like, you're like, okay, like you logically don't know you're not alone, but to hear women say that and be vulnerable, it gives so much more space to be creative as well and like show up in those emotions. And the one-on-ones I had after that, like I went deeper than I ever had with one-on-ones, because it was just so clear that we were both open and safe to do that. And that's really what moved all of this forward for me to make a choice. But I had to step in that vulnerability and receive.
God, I love it. All right. So as we close up today, what are 5 things? I'm going to challenge you and put you on the spot. What are 5 things we can celebrate with you right now?
I have an amazing HR company that's going to be supporting me because that's a hot mess for me right now. They finished construction on the building, so it is perfect and beautiful. And I posted a video on my Facebook, and it's amazing to be here. I just hired a new child and adolescent therapist. I had spent a year trying to find her, and I think energetically that was a timing thing, and it's the best timing possible. Let's see what else. I find, oh yeah, I hit 7 figures, but it still doesn't feel real. So that's like not even on my radar. And I think the other one I'm celebrating as a Chicago chapter president, we're a growing chapter. I have the happy hour tomorrow. And that's something I celebrate all the time because it's just an amazing thing to be in the space of that chapter and those women. And that's more a celebration, but a gratitude as well, that I get to be in that space and collaborate with those women and lead those women and find more women here who need us. Because that was me. I was on an island alone before the Dames and struggling. So I want to create that bigger mission with all of us to help more women.
Love it. Thank you, Sam, for celebrating with us. Thank you for being here with me, for sharing this story, for just sharing your all. You always give your all, and that is so needed in this world. And what I love most about you is that you do it without forsaking your own needs and yourself. You do it while putting yourself also first and forward. And you do that more and more every day. And you've done the work. You created Dare to End Anxiety because you yourself had anxiety and needed to figure out how you're going to create this big vision that you have in the world without being debilitated by something that was debilitating. And like you created this because you solved it for yourself. And it doesn't mean that that doesn't come back up again, right? You know, we've had conversations before about, oh, this new anxiety showed up with new face this week.
Yep, there it is again.
And we can laugh about it, but we can also say, okay, well, I got my tools. I'm going to pull those out and use them, because it is never like, this journey is never finished. It's never like, oh, I achieved the top of the mountain and now life is going to just be, I'm going to be coasting the whole rest of the time.
Thank you for everything and just this community. It's a gift every day.
Thank you, Sam.